If you would just, as you lay them out, just make them, real clear what each one does, which I know, of course, you will do. And then we will open up public testimony in the manner I described. You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, before I get started on the series of bills, I wanted to take the opportunity to explain what they accomplish. And in my opinion, these are 4 of the most pro-business bills that we could pass for the legislative session. These 4 bills protect our pro-business climate. Something often referred to as the Texas miracle is certainly a Texas blessing. As other states struggle businesses and talent, Texas remains strong, and our success is certainly not luck. It's a product of the policies we have crafted to encourage entrepreneurs, innovators, Texas small businesses that take risk every day. These policies provide predictability and incentives for companies to grow and invest and to get government out of the way. There's a movement at the local level of government, not just nationwide, but affecting Texas too, where cities and counties are creating crushing business and job-killing regulations on private employers. If a city wants to adopt their own policies, that's for them to decide. They should give private employers that same ability. As local governments creep in the way of growth and success, they're harming the Texas economy. Therefore, I believe lawmakers, it's our obligation to rein them in for the sake of the Texas economy. Through testimony today, you may hear that these bills, members, are predatory. You may hear that they give a blank check to discriminate, that these bills are in some way cruel, and that these bills will harm Texas employees. I will tell you now that that is all false narrative. To be clear, these bills are necessary because of anti-business city and county ordinances and policies and local overreach into small businesses. These bills do not affect in any way existing federal, state, or local anti-discrimination laws. I know this is getting repetitive, but I'll say it again. These bills don't affect anti-discrimination laws that are in current law, as the narrative through the media over the past several days has been attempted to be established. They're about jurisdiction. They're about local overreach into private businesses, and they're about promoting a predictable, business-friendly environment in the state that our small businesses can survive and flourish and grow. At their core, these bills that address a jurisdictional issue, and the primary motivation of these bills is to promote predictability for the entire state. If we don't pass them, Texas will be left with a patchwork of regulations on private businesses across the state. I know the Dallas Chamber is here today, and they certainly know that their member businesses don't just operate in Dallas. They have clients and locations in Frisco, Plano, McKinney, Allen, Garland, all over North Texas and throughout the state. And each jurisdiction at the local level, if allowed, could adopt their own local ordinances, and even if they're well-meaning, they'll overwhelm employers with paperwork, compliance issues, and costly regulations that could ultimately cause layoffs and job reductions. Last year, the Seattle City Council passed a fee on private businesses in the area. Amazon led the fight to overturn it with a multi-million-dollar campaign. And just a few months ago, Amazon canceled their HQ2 new headquarter launch because New York politicians were hamstringing them with regulations and red tape to the tune of 54,000 jobs that the state of New York lost because of this. I'm not singling out Amazon. Any other company would do the same to avoid additional patchwork regulations, compliance paperwork, and bureaucratic issues. After all, there's a cost associated with each one of these ordinances. They're either passed along to the customer or they result in reducing wages and benefits that are offered to employees. Amazon will be okay. It's got a presence all over the world and is valued at $134 billion, plus or minus. Apple, Facebook, IBM, and other billion-dollar corporations can absorb extra cost in ways that small businesses cannot. And as we know, small businesses result in over 70% of the job creation in Texas. If these regulations were in place when these companies were getting their start, they never would have made it. There's no way you can start a business in a garage or a kitchen today in Seattle or California, but you can still in Texas because of state legislative policies protecting that ability. A study from the University of Kentucky examined the first paid sick leave policy in the United States, and in the survey, it was found that roughly 1/3 of businesses had reduced other employee benefits to account for the law's costs. 1/5 had raised prices, and a similar number of businesses reduced hours or staffing levels. At a previous committee hearing, we heard from business owners who agreed with that study, and they testified that if these regulations were imposed on them, they would be forced to lay off employees, reduce wages, hours, and benefits for Texas employees. That's not what Texas is about. Some of these ordinances, including what we've seen in the city of Austin recently, have also enacted subpoena power for city employees to regulate private businesses. Small businesses could be caught up in costly job-killing litigation because they need to make a change to shifts or cannot afford certain benefits for their employees. But most of all, I just want to change the rhetoric and the narrative around these bills, as opponents are operating on the assumption that small business owners are predatory and greedy, and that business owners cannot be trusted to manage their own businesses or take care of their own employees. Most small business owners risk their financial future for a dream. They take out loans, they work around the clock, they make serious sacrifices to succeed, and these business owners have a sincere interest in their communities and in their employees, as many that testified and many that we know members, their employees are considered family. They support our schools, our charities, sponsor Little League teams, and are usually the first to step up in a time of need, as we saw during Hurricane Harvey. I think everyone in this room can think of a neighbor or a family member that's risked everything to start a business. Most have gone many pay periods without checks to ensure the rest of their payroll could be met. They sacrifice, they make hard choices, and local government should not tie them up in these regulations. The proper jurisdiction for considering these policies is the state and federal level, as evidenced by the fact that bills are filed in this legislative session for these exact policies to be considered. I believe this is good policy. It's policy that I, along with a major coalition of large and small businesses, would hate to see defeated because certain groups are looking to pick fights or create division in the Capitol. Some groups have sincere concerns, and I look forward to continuing productive discussions with them to explain the merits of the bills. But many other groups are fanning the flames, as you'll hear in some testimony today, with the sole intention of staying relevant and encouraging their own fundraising. I'll do whatever it takes to get these bills put into law because our businesses deserve it, and I know many members will stand with me to protect our pro-business climate. As I previously mentioned, there's rhetoric around these policies that is a false narrative, and so, Madam Chair, I appreciate the opportunity to explain some of that today. Senate Bill 2485 prohibits municipalities from mandating private businesses to offer certain employment benefits. After this bill becomes law, a city will not be able to require small businesses to offer all of their employees benefits like life insurance, dental insurance, gym memberships, company cell phones, or any benefits that a city deems necessary. The private sector and business to business will determine in a competitive framework exactly what employees will be afforded, and businesses will have to stand up to their competitors that offer the same. And with that, Madam Chair, we have a committee substitute for 2485.
Senator Creighton sends up the committee substitute to 2485. You're recognized on your committee substitute.
Committee substitute for 2485, Madam Chair, and thank you. The committee substitute changes the word regulate to mandate, and the arguments that this could preempt local non-discrimination ordinances with this change make sure that that's not the case. It even removes a further reach into arguments that have claimed the same. No matter how well-intentioned, these ordinances put our small businesses on a slippery slope. If a private business decides to offer a benefit, they cannot discriminate on who they give those benefits to. That's settled in law. The companies cannot discriminate in that way, and this bill does not change that. It just prohibits a city from mandating businesses to offer them because, again, the appropriate jurisdiction for that is right here where we sit at the state level and also at the federal level. It just prohibits a city from mandating that businesses offer those exact policies we consider here in this building during this session and future sessions. Senate Bill 2486 maintains that private businesses have autonomy in determining their employees' schedules rather than the city doing so. Predictive scheduling regulations requires that schedules be determined far in advance and impose penalties if they're changed. Think about a landscape company. If there's 10 days of rain and they can't service their clients, therefore there's no revenue to pay employees, there are gaps that would be almost impossible to manage from city to city in close proximity as those employees travel through those jurisdictions. I know there are concerns about rest breaks and water breaks, but we have strong worker protections in this state and federal law to protect the same. There's also severe consequences if those protections are overlooked or ignored. Senate Bill 2487 gives employers the flexibility to decide the sick leave, vacation, and other leave policies that they offer their employees. Senate Bill 2488 gives private employers the ability to inquire if an applicant has been convicted of a serious crime or felony, so those business owners know exactly who's working in and among their employees as they, again, consider those employees family, and around cash registers and other monetary systems within their respective businesses that have to be protected. Dell, Apple, HP, and thousands of other companies have enjoyed the American dream and started out at very small means and in very limited range. Don't you agree that if you're running a business out of your home, you should have the right to ask if an applicant has been convicted of a felony before they come to work? If someone's been convicted of embezzlement or burglary, wouldn't you want to know that as soon as possible before you let them operate a cash register or a safe or a vault within your business campus? Larger companies also struggle with this. Interview processes are long and thorough and lasting months before offers are extended. It's in neither the company nor the applicant's best interest to go through that process without these procedures in place that protect both. Ban the box is relatively a new concept. I don't dispute that many people are deserving of that second chance, and Madam Chair, we've talked about that in the Criminal Justice Committee and supported the same, but I want private employers to make those decisions as we decide those policies here at the state level as well, not local governments. As you see, these are straightforward policy solutions to prevent local overreach. And with that, members, I can answer any questions, and I know we have testimony available. I know that was a long layout, Madam Chair, but it's also 4 pieces of legislation that we're considering, so thank you for the time to explain all 4.
Absolutely, yes, sir.